Have you ever stopped to think about how much trust you place in a simple metal box every single day? You step inside, the doors close, and without a second thought, you let it lift you dozens of meters into the air, suspended by cables you never see and systems you never question. Imagine if that box didn't exist. Imagine cities without vertical movement, where every extra floor meant exhaustion, limitation, and a completely different way of living. It's hard to picture modern life without elevators, and that's exactly why their story is so powerful. Because what feels ordinary today was once one of the most dangerous, controversial, and transformative inventions in human history. Long before skyscrapers defined city skylines, people were limited by gravity in a very real way. Buildings stayed low, not because humans lacked ambition, but because moving people and goods upward was slow, risky, and impractical. Early civilizations experimented with crude lifting platforms powered by ropes, pulleys, animals, or even human labor. These systems worked in theory, but in practice they were unreliable, terrifying, and often deadly. A snapped rope or a failed mechanism didn't mean inconvenience. It meant disaster. Elevation was a privilege reserved for storage or materials, not people. Living or working high above the ground simply wasn't worth the risk. As cities grew denser during the Industrial Revolution, this limitation became impossible to ignore. Urban land was expensive, populations were exploding, and the only direction left to grow was up. But gravity remained undefeated. Carrying goods upstairs was exhausting. Climbing multiple flights of stairs every day drained productivity and energy. Worse still, no one wanted to live or work on the upper floors. The higher you went, the less valuable the space became. In most buildings, the best apartments were on the ground or first floors, while the top floors were cheap, undesirable, and often used for servants or storage. Height was a disadvantage, not a luxury. The biggest obstacle wasn't speed or comfort. It was fear. Elevators existed in a primitive form, but they were widely seen as death traps. The idea of trusting your life to a rope under tension was enough to make most people refuse to step inside. One failure, one mistake, and gravity would do the rest. This fear wasn't irrational. Accidents were common, and when they happened, they were brutal. For decades, this single issue kept cities grounded, no matter how much they dreamed of reaching the sky. Then came a moment that changed everything, not through complexity, but through simplicity. A man named Elisha Otis didn't invent the elevator itself. What he invented was far more important, a way to make it safe. His breakthrough was a mechanical safety brake designed to stop the elevator if the cable failed. It sounds almost obvious today, but at the time, it was revolutionary. Still, no one believed him. An idea on paper wasn't enough to erase fear that had been built over generations. So Otis did something extraordinary. In 1854, at the World's Fair in New York, he stepped onto a platform high above the crowd. He ordered the rope supporting the elevator to be cut. Gasps filled the room. People expected to witness a fatal fall. Instead, the platform dropped just a short distance and stopped. Otis stood there, alive, calm, and smiling. In that moment, centuries of fear collapsed. The elevator was no longer a gamble. It was safe. That single demonstration didn't just prove a mechanism. It rewired how people thought about vertical space. Almost overnight, the impossible became inevitable. Buildings began to rise higher. Architects were no longer constrained by staircases and human endurance. Floors that were once undesirable became prestigious. The higher you lived or worked, the better the view, the cleaner the air, and the greater the status. The social hierarchy of buildings flipped upside down, literally. Penthouses replaced basements as symbols of wealth and power. Cities transformed in ways no one could have predicted. The elevator didn't just move people upward. It reshaped economics, culture, and urban identity. Skyscrapers became symbols of progress, ambition, and national pride. Financial districts soared. Dense urban centers became viable. Without elevators, modern megacities as we know them simply wouldn't exist. New York, Chicago, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Dubai, all of them owe their skylines to that invisible ride between floors. As elevator technology evolved, it became faster, smoother, and smarter. Steam power gave way to electricity. Manual controls were replaced by automated systems. Safety mechanisms multiplied. What once required bravery became boringly reliable. And that reliability is precisely the point. The elevator succeeded so completely that we stopped noticing it. Today, millions of people step into elevators without a single thought about the physics, engineering, or history behind the motion. The invention faded into the background of everyday life, quietly doing its job. But the story doesn't end there. Modern elevators are feats of engineering that rival any high-tech innovation. Some travel at speeds that make your ears pop. Others use magnetic levitation instead of cables. Smart systems predict traffic patterns, reduce wait times, and optimize energy use. There are elevators that move not just up and down, but sideways. Entire building designs now revolve around elevator efficiency. In the tallest structures on Earth, elevators are as critical as the foundations themselves. And yet, for all this sophistication, the core idea remains the same: trust. Every elevator ride is an act of faith in human ingenuity. Faith that thousands of tiny components will work in perfect harmony. Faith that systems designed decades ago will protect you today. It's a quiet trust, rarely acknowledged, but deeply ingrained. Think about how different your daily life would be without it. Hospitals would function differently. Offices would shrink. Elderly and disabled access would be severely limited. Emergency response would slow. Even something as simple as delivering groceries or furniture would become a logistical nightmare. The elevator isn't just convenient. It's foundational. What makes this invention truly remarkable isn't its size or complexity, but its impact. It didn't just solve a problem. It unlocked a new dimension for humanity. It allowed us to stack lives, businesses, and dreams on top of each other. It changed how we define space, value, and progress. And it did all of this so seamlessly that we barely notice. So the next time those doors close and you feel that gentle pull upward, pause for just a second. Remember that this ordinary moment is the result of centuries of trial, fear, failure, and one bold demonstration that changed the world forever. If you've ever lived in a tall building, worked on a high floor, or admired a city skyline, you've benefited from this invention more than you realize. If this story made you see elevators differently, leave a comment and tell me the highest floor you've ever been on. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden histories behind everyday inventions, hit like and subscribe. There are countless ordinary objects around us that quietly shape our world, and their stories are far more incredible than we imagine.